Hi everyone, I hope you're well. I haven't made a general video in a while, so I thought I would today. And the topic of today's video is about the type of reading that you'll get with me if you book in a tarot guidance reading. And I like to do these videos every now and again because I do get such a range of amazing clients that come to see me or connect with me via Zoom. And what I like to try to do is give people some information about what they would expect with a reading with me, and to sort of rule out any sort of common misconceptions or myths really when it comes to tarot readings. So the first one is that I am not a fortune teller. So I do have the ability to tune into future potential energies, and I have seen some pretty amazing future stuff that has happened to me personally. But in terms of me telling you, as you know, as my sitter, your whole life story, that's just not going to happen. And the reason for that is because you have free will and you have choice. And yes, do I believe that things are mapped out for us, that we've kind of signed up to a bit of a life contract before we come here? Yeah, I do believe that. I do believe everyone that we meet, the children we have, the jobs we take, where we live, our nationality, our purpose, that is pretty much set to a degree, and there's certain things that we can't change. However, because we have free will, there is so much that we can change. And if you think about it, wherever your intention goes, your energy flows with that, and that's what shapes your reality. Where your intention goes, the energy follows, and that's what shapes your reality. So when I do a reading for you, we look in depth what's going on at the moment, because the only thing that matters is this moment, the here and now. And you would be surprised at how many people, and we all do this, they don't want to deal with the stuff that's going on now. They just want to know that it's going to be okay, and they want it all mapped out for them. But the problem with that is that they're not actually doing the work. They're not learning the lesson. They're not setting their intentions to make the right choices and decisions and being in that right vibration today to allow things to change for them. So by telling somebody the absolute ins and outs of the rest of their life or the next 10 years, it's really not allowing them to step into their own power to make the right decisions moving forwards. Now, I do see potential, so I can see what the energy looks like based on today's thoughts, feelings and actions. And sometimes we can have a look at different alternatives to that, different choices or decisions, and what that outcome might look like. You know, like for example, is it a good idea if we decide to move house? Well, let's have a look. Or what if we wanted to go to that region or that area? Let's see what that energy looks like. We can do that with the cards, and it is accurate as well. I mean, it's accurate as it can be, and that's what the cards are used for. It's not to give you an absolute certainty of what's going to happen. So I do like to tell that to people, and I like them to understand as well when they come for a reading with me that it's a dialogue. It is a session where we are talking together. My absolute worst case scenario, there's two, is a person that will not speak to me at all. That's the worst reading you can have, and this has happened in the past, and it has been unpleasant to the point where I've actually asked for it to end, because the person just sat there and they would not say a word, because they had this idea in their mind that as a reader I'm supposed to sit there and tell them everything. And the problem we have with that, without them engaging, without them opening up, without them giving their energy to me so that we can connect together, they're going to get the worst reading. The best sitter for me is someone who engages to a degree where if I say to them, does this make sense? Yes. And then I give them some backstory. Is that making sense with your backstory? Yes. It's making sense because of A, B and C. Fantastic. So that we build together, and it's not me being fed. I promise you, the best reading you'll ever get is when there's a two-way communication, and I'm still going to say stuff that I'm not going to be aware of. That's going to be incredible. So that's the best case. And the other worst case scenario, apart from somebody not saying anything at all, is somebody who overspeaks, who spends the hour talking about stuff. and I'm just a sounding board. Then I'm not really giving the advice that I can channel from the tarot, from my intuition, from my spirit guides. I don't get the opportunity to do that. So there needs to be this happy medium of me actually, what's generally happening during a reading is that I'm telling the sitter stuff they already know. It's already speaking to them because they already know it on an intuitive level, and it's just somebody else confirming and verifying that for them, and it gives them the impetus to say, yes, I can push forward with that. That's the best reading you can have. What else do I not really like to talk about? Pregnancy or death. Pregnancy or death. I just like to reiterate that if you want to know if you're going to have children, that type of question, it's shaky emotive ground there, and it does come up, there's no doubt about it, but if you want me to predict how many children you're going to have, even though I have felt that on a level, I don't always express that to my sitter. I'm very careful with that because it's so emotive. And also with death, you'd be surprised at how many people have asked me how long someone has got, but all we can do is look into the future with that potential to see how someone's going to be feeling at that moment in time, not necessarily to predict how long someone's got, if they're poorly, that type of thing. It's very, you have to be careful as a reader in terms of what information you give out. So I just like to let people know that. The same with legal stuff. We can look at things like divorce, house moves, career, business, that type of thing's absolutely fine. But if you want hard and fast numbers, I'm not the person that's going to give that information to you. And there is good and bad stuff that comes up on a vibrational level, and whatever happens in my reading, that if I do see negative, and there has to be negative because we're living in a physical dimension where with the good comes the bad, it has to balance always, I will give you that negative stuff, but with a positive delivery, and we look to solve the problem. And we look for the good in that always, because you're not going to walk away from a reading with me hopefully feeling worried or scared about the future, because that I wouldn't have done my job properly if that's how you feel. And also, lastly, is understanding the type of reading that I'm giving. An intuitive tarot guidance reading is your energy here in the physical realm. Even though I'm channeling that information from my spirit team, my spirit guide, we're talking about you in your life. And it's all about the guidance for you. That's a tarot reading. That's a guidance reading. A mediumship reading is where I am purely connecting to your loved ones in spirit and getting evidence and information and messages direct from spirit. And there will be a little bit about your life because they're around you and they like to check in with you, and they may give you some guidance as to what's going on today, but they won't predict anything in the future. They're not going to do that, just going to really talk about stuff that's going on at the moment, but it's two different energies. So some readers like to mix it up, they get a bit of both. That's happens to me on occasion, but I do like to go into a reading knowing what it is that I'm going in for. It's either psychic or it's either mediumship. But if a loved one in spirit really wants to come through, they will, no matter what. So I will interject sometimes and say there is somebody here and they want to give you this message. But on the whole, whatever you book, there needs to be a clear understanding of each reading. And it's difficult for sitters because they don't really know what it is they're going for, and there's so much stuff. Readings have been going on for years and years. Psychic, clairvoyance, mediums, we've been around since time began, and it's so interesting. I find that when the naysayers say that it's all a load of rubbish, how can it be when we've been doing this for so long? It's with us. It's part of who we are because it's energy, and some of us are very adept at picking up on that energy and reading it, and we've just trained and really put a lot of effort into that. And everyone can do it, I believe. Everyone is a psychic, everyone has mediumistic ability, but it's whether or not you want to open up to that and you want to train for it. It's like going to the gym. You either want to train that muscle and go for it, or you don't. And it's something that I love doing, and I've always been very intuitive, and I've decided to study it. I devote every day to it and to read professionally for people. So so that's my little video, 10 minutes long. I hope it wasn't too long for you, but if you do want to book up with me, just connect. If I feel like the right reader for you, hopefully that will resonate with you and we can connect in the future. And I love what I do. I love reading for people. I love the different people that I meet every day from all over the place, all over the world. It's incredible. But thank you for allowing me to have that opportunity to read for you. Hopefully speak to some of you in the future, and thanks for listening, and hopefully connect again soon.